Hello and welcome again to our series Women Matters, and it is of the Wisdom Factory. And Women Matters, we are talking about important topics around women, for women, with women. And today we have here Gertraud Wegst from Germany. Hello, Gertraud.
Hi.
And there is Tammy Meyer from Canada, I guess.
Vancouver.
Vancouver, Canada. Hello. And our other member, Monika, isn't here today, but she will come back next time. So today our topic is Empower Ourselves, Appreciation and Inquiry in Action. And today I will give over to Tammy to do the moderation and lead us through the session. Okay, over to you.
Wonderful. So what I thought we might start with today is to throw it out there to explore what our superpowers might be as humans. Just to be a little playful and to think into what we're amazing at. And so my question for you two ladies is, if you had a superpower, what would it be?
Let me ask you a question. Do you ask me personally what I think my superpower is, or do you ask me if I personally had a superpower, what would I like it to be, or do you ask about humans generally?
I was asking about option A, but I'm also excited about option B. So if you had a superpower, what would it be in your and I would test this group. Does it feel more fun or enlivening to ask, as we know ourselves, what do we think our superpower is? Or if we were to imagine a superpower we would want, what would it be? So I'll put that out to the group.
As I begin, I immediately step in. Is it okay for you, Gertraud?
Sure.
Okay. I think I still have this thing to think I don't have any superpower. So you okay?
You do?
Yeah, probably. It depends how we define superpower, when you ask what I'm really good at, I think I'm really good at learning and staying there and wanting to know. And I'm really good at when it's really exciting me in following up to what I have intended to do. When it at a certain point isn't interesting anymore, then goes. Then I learn something new. But if it has also a sense why I learned that, if it has a goal, then it's most likely that I continue and do it.
And maybe we'll go to part B and ask you if you could imagine a superpower that you would be excited about having. What would it be?
I would have the magic stick. And
what does it do?
I would create peace immediately. I would be able to get people together and make them see, what they're doing, and make them understand that they can do differently and create. I don't want to say harmony, because harmony is a little bit overstated. It can be harmony. I don't mean that one, but I mean that there can be created understanding, and it depends on us. But first we need to know. And if I had stick, to make people see that what they are doing themselves, what they are creating, which often is against what they think. I mean, I include myself there too, Yeah, I would do that. Peace on earth.
That's wonderful, and I would just briefly reflect that I think you're already doing that, Heidi.
Yeah, but where's my stick?
Magic wand.
Okay.
You need a stick?
Mark says if I need a stick.
might be afraid.
Yeah, because it is Women Matters. We are women here, but there's the men in the background listening.
That's okay. Hi, Mark.
Okay, that's me.
Wonderful. Gertraud.
It's similar to Heidi. I don't relate to myself as having superpowers. It's like I don't know so much, but I think there is, and I'm getting more and more into that direction. There is this radical appreciation. Like and everything is, but to appreciate what is exactly as it is, and coming from there. And we had in Unity and Diversity, there was that process we did over several months, and where we met. Yeah, we love our monsters too till they can't help loving back or disappear. I think that's a good sentence, and that comes very much along with what Heidi said. It's not being together in a make-believe, everything is perfect thing, but really being with the things that are not working and infusing them by love and appreciation, not being d'accord, not accepting what's not working, but coming from a place where we see the human side in it and can come from compassion or understanding, and yeah. So we had this yesterday. I had the first evening in an I'm training coaching, so it was a coach training for coaches. And we had our first evening, and we said, okay, what is that? Coming from appreciation. I think last time I told about I Value, that's a ring coaching firm, and we make basic trainings for those people. And I said, okay, we have already decided to come from that place, to I value you, yes, to come from there. And then we said, okay, now imagine you would come into this group you don't know. There were 10 people, they didn't know each other, and come from that like Trump is going towards Hillary Clinton, something like that. You really hate this other person. You say it's the devil, and you only expect bad from other people. Then how do you feel? And within half a minute, people said, I tried I raise my fences, I have all this armor around me, I feel bad, I feel attacked, I feel insecure and everything. And I say, okay, breathe, let go of that, and turn around and say, okay, how do you feel when you come in? Maybe I make new friends. They will be my supporters for the next half year, and and something more like that, and I will learn a lot, and we will be deeply connected, and that helps us really building community. And within almost seconds, people say, oh, what a relief. How great is that? And said, there is no is coachee out there. It's only how it occurs, how they occur to me. So how do I come in a conversation? How do I see people? What attitude do I have? That it doesn't mean that there is no killing out there. But what is it if I come from that it is like it is and I have a say in how I react?
Yes.
And I'm coming from appreciation. Sorry, it's pretty long, but I think that's...
I love that, Gertraud, and there's so much richness in there. If you wouldn't mind going a tiny bit farther and just sharing, if you were to boil it down to a superpower of what you bring, what might that beautiful space you described be?
If I had my magic wand, it would be that everybody is infused by that, by genuine, radical appreciation, starting with myself and overflowing to other people.
Beautiful.
And that would end war. I swear, that would end all this. Not conflict as such, not that we are always aligned with what people say, but we can deal with it in a humane way.
I would like to add, when you come from that place you describe of appreciation, then all conflict resolution would be constructive. And it wouldn't need to make the others down, what is now not the fight, trying to be superior and dismiss everything. No, you could really work on resolve conflict or different opinions or different approaches, and you might even not need to find one alone. You can have several, and you will find, as we are also talking about integral, that some approaches are good for one thing, some approaches are good for another thing, and others are good for, again, another thing. So we don't have to have all the same ideas and all the same approaches and all the same perspectives. You know, so conflicts are often about that because somebody wants to be right all the time, and you don't need that.
And if I'm right, you're wrong.
Yeah.
Of course.
And then I fight you.
And then we've got crabs in a bucket.
Yeah. What is your superpower, Tammy?
You know, in listening to both of you amazing human beings, I realized that we're deeply aligned. It's really very much the same thing in bringing people together for a purpose, to talk about important things that we need to understand. So, you know, I guess my superpower might be to see the connections between people and to see people's beautiful offerings and what they have and can share, and having a sense of that deep value. And so I feel like I'm taking words from both of you ladies' mouths, but I think that's incredibly beautiful as well, because we are resonant and on the same tip. And this little podcast is actually an example of that. So I think that there's some real beauty in that. And part of it, I think, is that we are all motivated to live in a world that is beautiful, that recognizes what we all bring to the table. And I, for myself, I have a sense of this more beautiful world, as Charles Eisenstein speaks of. And and I feel that we've got that. That exists within us. And through, as Gertraud says, through radical appreciation, and through bringing people together, Heidi, like you do, we can see that and be with that and better understand each other and what we bring to the table. And every one of our perspectives and our passions has value. And so I think that I just very much appreciate this practice that we've been on in looking together in the same direction. To be able to find where we meet and find where where each of us adds, rather than, I loved Gertraud, your image last session about crabs in a bucket, and I really believe that it's not necessarily women just doing that to women. It's the nature of the competitive world that we have been enculturated into. But actually, it doesn't work, and it's not. I don't believe that it's indicative of our true state and our true self. And so I'm really grateful just to be able to practice with you how to not be a crab and grab people down and pull them, but rather how to say, Gertraud, I love your practice of radical appreciation, and you've inspired me to take that further into my life, even though I was already appreciating. It's brought it front and center to be able to really consciously appreciate what people bring to the table. And Heidi, same with you. You are bringing people together to have these important conversations, which is very dear to my heart, because I think that as small groups of people in creating understanding and resonance together, we're able to see farther. And recently I had another podcast, another conversation with people that were talking about flashlights. They're talking about, if you are, you've got your flashlight and you're in a dark room, there's only so much you can see. But if you join with a friend with their flashlight, you can see farther. And so I feel like this practice of ours is how we can see farther together. And so
I would like to come in, because you said the competition and it's not what we want. I think the competition is an important part in human development, and up to a certain point I think competition is healthy. But what we have done is go over it in this masculine paradigm. It has become not only competition, which is, pushing the edges, but has become something, or me or you, and I think a conversation which we have now can only be now. It couldn't have been 100 years ago, I think, that we talk about these things, because it seemed so normal that my win is your loss, and only now we can imagine that there can be a win-win situation, or win-win-win-win situation, and we are trying to figure that out in some way.
Yes.
And I think it's also in what state of mind am I? Am I in survival mode? Then it's either me or you.
Right.
And then I rather kill you, and then, sorry, I killed you for wrong reasons, but my survival was at stake. So you overdo something when you're in survival mode. It's like either him or me, and maybe I'm wrong with him, but I'd rather survive than find it out. So I think in this mode, and it's almost like reptilians among each other. You within a second you have to find out if it's scary, if it's dangerous, and if you can eat this other animal, or it will eat you, or you freeze and say, oh, I wait till it's over. And if you're in that mode, there's no other way. I mean, and when we have conditions in business or among people that I feel threatened socially, I have the same reactions. Maybe I don't kill them physically, but I can kill them socially. So when people feel threatened, they rather say things, or they think, oh, I was right, and so I have to go on. So it's like, what state of mind do I have? Am I on STEM brain, so to say, on reptilian brain? And then there are only enemies, possible enemies.
I really love that you've both put your finger on some of the challenges that are in the way of us, of us really coming to this cohesion together. And yeah, let's lean a bit more into that, because I think that, you know, it's really useful to look at Gertraud. I love that you said conditions. What are the conditions that are currently in place that are challenging our ability to work together more closely and to really support each other and help to build that coherent field? So my two-part question that we can weave back and forth is, what are the current conditions that are creating this crab in a bucket, pulling each other down scenario, and what are the needed conditions to shift into a place of greater cooperation and common understanding? So if we can just play in that space between those two pieces, that would be wonderful. I'll also just jump in that you know, there's identifying this piece around the current systems where it's based on competition, which, as Heidi says, there's some usefulness and utility in that, in having us show up as our best selves. I think there's some pieces around that exist, but it's gone too far, and so we need to find other ways of and help to create other conditions together in how do we support each other? How do we come to a common understanding of what we're doing here, what's possible, and start to look in the same direction together? So I'll just open the floor.
I would like to say just a moment before I ask Gertraud more question. I think there are many attempts to create different conditions. For instance, when I came into Google Plus, into the communities, there's so much help offered and so much support, which I hadn't had before. You know, I was surprised. And now I'm in a different community where it's mind-blowing, really, what the level of support is there. So this is beginning, and I think there are many, many, many small or bigger groups out there who try to create a different climate. So my question would be to Gertraud, as she is working with businesses. Our good friend Robin Wood, who is working on thrivability, he is working with big enterprises to change their minds. And he says the future, the real change, will be done by enterprises, because they have the power to really change. We little ones, we can prepare the ground, but the real power to change the way of production or whatever it is the big enterprises. And how would you do it? You are coaching businesses, Gertraud. I really would like to understand how, enterprises, multinational, oh gosh, they are all in this corner of, oh no, never, no, but actually, if the leadership in these big enterprises, as it's already in Google, for instance, if they change minds, they are only humans. They have the power to change a whole lot. So, what are you doing, Gertraud, to do that?
Well, I was just thinking, and maybe I can put together the two questions. I think the human condition needs safety first, like having a safe space in which I can expand and don't have to think about my personal, physical, or social survival. And when I can do that, so it's like having space in which I can be not threatened. And the second is connection. Even our brain is wired for, like, when you're threatened to death, you just have these three, like fight, flight, or freeze. And you need to breathe, and you need to even laugh makes a difference. Laughing together really makes a difference, because when you laugh, you can't think I'm threatened. It doesn't work. It doesn't just work physically. It doesn't work. And then really reaching out for help. What you just said, Heidi. When we are not only on adrenaline, but when we're in this intermedium, that, like in a construction site where you see the signs and have to be careful, so it's more in the watch out, then you have oxytocin as well. So it's adrenaline, so take care, watch out, see which means bonding with people. And so we have that big longing of reaching out and asking for help, giving help if people need so. So if that is, if we do that, breathe, count till 10, things like that, and have a specific rule, getting out of this only survival mode, having some time and space, and then reaching out for help, that really gives us the possibility to thrive into this state where people support each other, where people feel safe enough to make mistakes, where they feel safe enough to celebrate together. And I think getting out of the survival mode and the problem mode, there must be a problem here that I need to solve, but really being with each other and being connected, that's, I think, yeah, safe space, trust, and reaching out. And I think without appreciation, I don't know how it works.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful. Yes, I definitely agree with those and feel that inner condition. That inner condition of feeling safe. We've created it here for each other, and Gertraud, the unity in diversity process as well. That was a big part of it, and absolutely appreciation lays the groundwork as well as listening, and so that's wonderful.
And coming back to the companies, we had appreciative inquiry training inside a corporation, and they said they were like, what do you call those things that in the water where you know where to go? Buoys?
Yeah.
Yeah. And they say they were like beaming buoys. In, you know, they had 150 leaders there, and the ones that did the training with us, without even knowing each other, but by the way, how they talked to the board, talked with with each other, talked, stood up and said something. They said they were, and then they connected together. And there was one who came from the board to from the F1 level to the board, and he left that group because he said, I really want to respect that safe space, so you can talk about what really matters, and I don't want to ruin that safe space when I'm now on the board, and you want to talk about us, so you don't feel safe enough to do so. So though he loved the group, he left it because he respected it so much. And that really makes a difference when people feel safe enough. There was one even who was in that same group, though it was a training group, and they decided to go on for a year, meeting once a month. And the board had decided to cut down the staff by, I think, a fourth or so. So 20% or 25%. And there was, in one town, there were 350 people, and they had to cut down 400. And so they wanted to close that. And though everyone in that daughter company was really in that survival mode, and they were really threatened, and he kept that connection with the board, and he said, we can make it. He supported all his staff to find a way, and he finally they got to keep the people and find another way. And it was only by him being with the board in appreciation, in supporting his people and everything. So I think it works little by little, maybe not the big bang, but yeah, creating that space which expands.
Gertraud, I am curious, how do you teach that to people who are not used to it? Can you show us some basic exercises?
One is to have appreciative. So in the appreciative inquiry process, you have appreciative interviews to relate to what's already working. So you have a problem or a challenge or something, and said, okay, can you remember a time where, even if it was a little time, only a few days or just a short or in a very narrow part, where something like you wished was already happening, where you were successful in that. And people come up with stories about when they that really worked, that were, yeah, the success factors. That's one part. And you can have it extended in an hour, or you can just have those questions. Just ask appreciative questions. mostly we work with what we call the appreciative perspectives. And we have them, I think I put them in already. We have them in 8 languages already. This is sourceofappreciation.org. That's our gift to the world. So, and these little sentences, when you read them, practice them, take them as motto for the day, or have them as motto for a celebration or whatever, then, or for exercises to see how they apply to a problem, then you can work with them. Mm-hmm. And a lot more. But
wonderful. Thank you. That's fantastic.
Yeah. I think appreciative questions. Thinking of appreciative questions, because the way you ask the questions, when you ask what's the problem, you get a problem. When you ask what's working, you get what's working. So the way you ask your questions makes the difference more than statements.
How do you ask them for the problem when there is a problem in this other way?
I think you can ask what are your challenges at the moment, and then you can ask, okay, what's already working in that? Where do you find ways to start with? Where, or what do you like about your boss when you're complaining about the boss? Okay, so one of our board members who he said, I'm like in Jerusalem on the complaining wall, so they tell me everything that's not working. And when he went through the training one day, he said, well, okay, I heard that, and now I'm interested. What was good in the last weeks we didn't see each other? And he said they were so flabbergasted. They were like, what? And then one started and said within a minute it turned around. Yes, okay, that's what's working. Yeah, and then we had this and this and that. And all of a sudden there was a completely different way of looking at things. Yes, we had those problems, but the bigger part was working. So be aware of the questions you ask.
So Heidi, did you want to go a little bit deeper into conditions, both those that exist now and conditions that would better support a better way of relating?
Okay, I'm always the idea that the outside conditions we find in the world or in society are a reflection of the inside conditions, and I always think we need to work much more on ourselves. And not only we, but a little bit everybody, you know. And when we come to a certain maturity, and as I said, there's a certain insight of our habitual way of seeing things and doing things. And by the way, a partner in your life is a very, very good mirror to tell you what you don't see. Look at yeah, he
mine was here, we would have the same reaction.
No, it's great because, you know, I came, for instance, before I met Mark, I came to the idea I had studied so much, you know, I knew so much, and I'm good now. I know all things, you know. And then he came and said, look at it. This is the 4 in you, Enneagram 4. And I said, oh, okay. So just to say that there are so many things in our own behavior, in our own way of being, we just don't see. And I, for instance, I'm somebody who says, instead of what has worked, what has not worked, this is my Enneatype also, you know, and my Germanness too. So he sometimes says, but stop it. Tell me what is good on it, you know. So it is such an habit often what we do that we don't notice it unless somebody has the permission of ourselves to let us know. And I think we should use our relationships for that, to grow together and become aware of what we are doing. And what we are doing is co-creating the conditions in which we and the others are living, you know, as you said before. As you appreciation instead of critics, the atmosphere, the energy is changing. And this is in every situation, you know. And as soon as we understand what we do for not making it happen, then we can consider and trying to learn to do the other way around. And I must confess, it's difficult for me. I'm always focused on the half empty glass and not on the half full glass as habit, lifelong habit. So I really have to learn that and to be reminded. And if a little bit everybody of us did this work, we would change the conditions, because it's not the governments who change the conditions, that's us. So that's what I think.
That's beautiful. Thank you, Heidi. Just in kind of riffing off of that, there's a piece that I've really been thinking about lately around appreciating myself and self-confidence, and, you know, recognizing and seeing and feeling and actually believing that, you know, who I am and what I myself as a human, just that is enough and is to be appreciated. And that's not easy. It's actually, you know, I wish it were a lot easier, but it is. I think that there's some social conditioning, and it's, as you know, Gertraud says, you know, we are our own biggest critics, and that's a barrier, and that's a barrier that I've deeply experienced, where I, you know, have a sense of self-doubt. Can I really be a beautiful whole person, right? And so that inner condition of meeting the self and appreciating the self and showing up as a empowered person, that's a lifelong journey, obviously. And I think that that's one of the inner conditions. But I'm going to take a leap to some outer conditions. And it's connected, because the empowerment of the self is in the way that we're talking about it as a way to be in community with other people.
Can I say something here in between? I have this women matters, and it seems to be women's task, I think, to come to this real appreciation of ourselves and what you are talking about, no? The self-confidence. Because what we have learned in the masculine way is a confidence which is not really based in the self. It's a sort of, oh, I can do, you know, when you said Trump before, this is not what we mean. And it's a completely different level of appreciation and confidence. We mean this really felt and embodied confidence, which has how do you say, a deep base. It's not about how we act in the world or how powerful we are. It's absolutely not about that, but it's about this beingness, what we are talking about.
Mm-hmm. Heidi, thank you for putting your finger on that. And I was really thinking about that yesterday, and how there's that felt sense. I was thinking about in considering our session today. I was really considering, well, what is the as a woman, you know, what is it that's different about the approach? And you know, at the high level political level, we still have women acting as men, not necessarily this feminine leadership that I think that we're.
And in companies as well.
Pardon me? What's
and
that?
in companies as well.
Absolutely. And so there's this brashness that it doesn't regard the felt sense. And that's, yeah, so I think for us, what we practice as we walk these paths is how do we not just be confident. Thank you so much for bringing that up, Heidi. It's not about confidence. It's about feeling in the moment and showing up, being present. So there's something that's very visceral and real about how the felt sense can be used. And I think that we need to do it more. We need to show it more. We need to be in that space where we're teaching through doing. And I certainly see a lot of examples of that. But it was interesting yesterday to really consider that is a piece of the strength of the woman. So to weave us back with women matters, regardless of how one would identify. The feminine principle is holding space for and feeling into, and there's a sense of reality that's true and not manufactured, excoriating the feeling body, but rather a full sense experience with connection in groups. And I think that creates the safety that you spoke about, Gertraud.
Yeah, and I would even go further to the physiological way. So whatever you said is, I can really resonate, and I would even back it up with physiology, because I was teaching nutrition around birth and nursing. So I'm nutritionist by trade, by study, and I was working in the midwife school, and when you want to nurse a baby, you cannot do that when you are threatened, when you are under stress, so the let down reflex. So the milk is produced, but it cannot be let down when the saber-toothed tiger is around. So women, by nature, had to create safe space for doing the basics. They had to. So the milk stopped running, and you had to grab the baby, run to the cave, and have that safe space to nurse it again. So even birth cannot take place when you're threatened. So oxytocin only works when you have created safe space.
Mm.
And so women by nature always have done that. Just to survive, I mean, to have the baby survive. And so I think it's our, by nature we have that capacity and gift, and maybe it's really, we need to do the first step. It's not that men cannot do it, but we have that from nature. and that somebody, I don't even know who said that, but if relationships work, at least one has to go the extra mile, has to go a little bit more than the 50%. So both actually have to do it, but maybe we need to do that first step as women, because we are more equipped to do that, to make the connection, to create safe space, to be with people in that, and then men can join in. But we cannot wait till they do and complain if they don't.
Exactly.
I think that's it's great if they do, but if they don't, I know that how I can do that. So it's up to me to go that. It's not to exhaust in that, and what women many times they did, but to do it in a self-respective way. So to appreciate myself and know that this is a gift I have, and so I can apply it.
Wonderful.
Thank you for the explanation about the baby nurturing. That makes so much sense. Before I only thought that we are more equipped, but now you gave me the fact. Thank you.
I would notice that we are over our original time, and just want to check in with you both as to if you had another 7 minutes or so to wrap this up.
We started 11 minutes later.
Okay, so 8 minutes. Wonderful, and thank you for that. That is, yeah, very much appreciate that. I am going to leap into that which is outside of us, and I'm inspired by the work that you do, Gertraud, in corporations, in helping to kind of deeply humanize them. That's one perspective that I hold, which may or may not be true, but it's part of the challenges I think that we face is that the corporations have so much power in our world. And one of the conditions that I would like to promote and consider in conversations with people is, what would it look like if humans had the same power of corporations? Corporations have been given personhood, which has given them a lot of power under the law, and that power under the law has created conditions of deep injustice, and individuals themselves don't currently have the same powers and abilities as corporations. What would it look like if humans had the same powers as corporations? And what kind of conditions would that provide for us?
I want to jump in with that, what I said before. Wouldn't it be easy to use the power which corporations have for the change? That the leaders of the corporations get into a different mindset, and then they can really do a huge change.
Well, I think that's happening. I think that, that is happening all over the world, because that's where the money is. So if we're talking about power, power and money are really quite a direct equation, and so I think that does happen. People in corporations support work that is done in communities. I think we need to look at up-leveling what it is that I think that we as humans have been down-pressed, and there has been this rise of power through non-human entities that are treated as persons under the law. And I just want to put my finger on that as one of the critical challenges that we have in our world today, because corporations don't have any capacity to come from the feminine, where they are actually feeling into. Corporations don't have feelings, but they have a lot of power in our world. And so, I'm looking at that direction.
Led by people, corporations, and the people have expressed their feelings or they don't. I think that's the key point. Who is leading them?
I think it's not either or.
Okay.
It's I think there is something you can't skip when you want to come into the new way of doing business. It's personal development. So, and I don't think it's only a mind shift. It also has to be a heart shift.
Yes.
So as whole person. And what we see in Teal for Startups, that's how to create that new way of business from scratch. You cannot do it the corporate way. You know, when you do that, you raise another normal corporate company. So if you really want to do it the new way, you need to transform yourself. And the more people do that, the more wholeness comes in. Mm-hmm. And I think wholeness is the basis where people don't have to put 2/3 of themselves or even more at the wardrobe. It's when they can come in as whole human beings. Yeah. I think at that moment, maybe weapon companies can't produce them anymore because people don't want to do that. But when they are nailed down and have to earn money, they need to, and if it's all about this normal way of doing business, I think that the system will change, how they work together, the products will change, how they affect the environment will change, how they treat each other. So I think a big thing is really all people to raise their level of consciousness with personal development. So I think you cannot skip that.
Absolutely.
And from there, leaders think differently. Mm-hmm. Like in South Africa on the Appreciative Inquiry World Conference, we met. There was one who held a speech. There was a mosquito killing company for generations. I think it was the 4th generation or so. And then he said, one day I looked at my son, 8-year adopted son, jumping into the pool, and he said, I don't want to give him this for his future. What future do I want to have for that boy? And he started thinking. And now they are a biological, a company that still works with ants and mosquitoes, and I don't know, but on a biological way, and they have so they have more diverse things. They look at the environment, they are going into the community, and that's what the AI community calls flourishing companies, doing good and doing well. And this person completely changed after generations. And so they had a completely different company with solar roofs and everything. And before they even had the symbol, or their icon was like a mosquito, a dead mosquito, and this red, like no parking, yeah. this sign, and said that can't be true. So we need to change that as well. So, and I think that is because other things matter for you, and you develop yourself.
Right.
On a large scale, I mean, many people.
Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah, I would encourage you to listen to the 2 talks we had with Dr. Robin Wood about that, and he has so much material about companies who are changing in this way, by the leadership getting other values into other understanding, and then changed the whole company and also the products and the way of production. So it was his information too much. I would have to listen to it again because it was too much. But you find it on the YouTube channel from the Wisdom Factory, Dr. Robin Wood.
Wonderful. Well, thank you both so much for this time together. And I very much appreciate being able to look in the same direction and to explore the space. So thank you.
Thank you too, both of you. And we invite the watchers on YouTube or here live to join us again in 2 or 3 weeks. Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.